Okay, so the first step here is to create a new environment. I'm going to call this Zendesk prod for production. Then I'm going to connect to an app, and I'm going to choose Zendesk here as well. I'm going to enter my subdomain here and leave it with OAuth. And I'm going to modify this here so that I can also deploy using these credentials. And then I just click connect app and fetch. So I'm going to be redirected to my Zendesk account for a moment. And now it's been connected successfully. And now we're just fetching or downloading all the configuration from my Zendesk production. Okay, and that was quick. So now I can just browse my entire Zendesk configuration here. Everything is in one place, so I can see all my tags, my ticket fields, macros, triggers, etc. So let's say that I want to search for something related to customer priority. And there we have different macros that use the customer priority field. I have a trigger as well, and I have some ticket fields as well. So let's say I want to look at one of these triggers here. And I can see that this trigger has a action to update the customer priority to medium. And it also has conditions. For example, in this case where the status is new. So just like that, this is a very easy way to start browsing my Zendesk configuration. I can search for any type of text or any type of value. And all the Zendesk configuration is available in this very nice low-code format. And let's say that I'm going to change something about this field. Maybe I'm going to remove one of the ticket options, or I'm going to rename high to urgent. And I want to understand the impact of doing so. What triggers do I have using this value, or what macros are setting the value to high on some tickets? I want to understand the impact so that I can see if this is safe to make or whether I need to make any changes to any existing configuration. So if I scroll down here, I can see all the places where this custom field is being used. So I can see it's using one automation, 3 macros, 3 ticket forms, and 3 triggers. So it's really good because I can just open them up here. I can see all the details, and if I want to see exactly where they are being used, I can also just open up one of the elements here, click on it, and just like that, I see exactly where it is used. So in this case, I can see that it's used in the condition of a trigger. Other things we can do here is to compare instances of the same type. And what that means is that I can compare, for example, 2 macros so that I can see the differences. So let's say that I go to this macro here, and I can click on here and say compare to another instance. And I'm going to compare it with this other macro, which is just a copy. And I click compare. And then I can see here the differences, which is just the title, the row title change, and also in the actions, this text was removed and was replaced by this one. So really cool feature so that you can see any differences between potentially duplicate triggers or maybe macros that you're not sure if they're doing the same and maybe they should be consolidated. So it's a really good use case for that. Another thing I can easily do with Salto is deploying configuration from a Zendesk sandbox to a Zendesk production account, or actually vice versa as well in case you want to synchronize some changes. So let's say here I am in my premium sandbox and I have just created some configuration for the cloud model, which right now includes a new field that I created with a few options, in this case Premier and Standard. And I also have a trigger that basically says that when the cloud model equals Premier, we're going to set the priority to urgent. So I've tested this in my sandbox and now I'm ready to deploy this to production. Obviously, without Salto, I would have to recreate those changes manually, maybe copy pasting configuration or having 2 screens next to each other. So let me show you how easily I can do this with Salto. So I'm going to go over here to the deployment tab, click new deployment. I'm going to choose my Zendesk production as the target, and the source is going to be my sandbox. Here I'm going to enter cloud model as the name of the deployment, and then we click create. So what we're doing here is just comparing the two Salto environments or the two Zendesk accounts to see what are the differences between them. Okay, so everything that I can see here is everything that is different between these two Zendesk accounts. So let me search for cloud model. And there we have it. We have the ticket field options, and the trigger. If I click on it, as you can see, very easily I can tell that it's going to be an addition. And what that means is that it doesn't exist in Zendesk prod. So it's something that is going to be created in that environment. So in this case, I want to select the field, also the ticket field options, and the trigger, and then just click on preview plan. Okay, now here I have one last chance to review everything that's going to be deployed. I can click on this and see the configuration one more time. So just to confirm, I'm deploying my ticket field, my two options, and my trigger. Great, so I'm ready. So now I'm going to just click deploy. And that's it. Just like that, I was able to deploy all my configuration from sandbox to production. Finally, I can simply click here, push changes to Git, to keep this in version control, because of course I want an audit of all the changes that I'm making. I want to be able to go back and see what changes I've made in the past and exactly what was changed. So here all the changes that I did have been pre-selected for me, including the message and the details of the commit. So I'm just going to click push. Great, now I can go here and see the changes in GitHub. As you can see, all the configuration has now been added to my GitHub environment, including all the details of the source, destination environment, and who made the change. Last but not least, you may also want to set up notifications when different components in your Zendesk environment changes. Let's say that I want to know every time somebody changes something in a trigger. So I can go here to the monitor tab and create a new notification. And I'm going to say on any change, I'm going to select Zendesk. I'm going to search here for trigger. And now I can decide which triggers I want to track. I can track all of them, or I can just track individual ones. So let's say all the triggers. Every time a change is made on a trigger, I want to be notified. Then I can say here to notify me via email address or via Slack. In this case, let's do it via email. Then when a change is made, I'll receive an email notification with the details of exactly what changed, and I will also be able to get a Git file showing exactly the changes that were made.